morning, everyone, on this very bright Saturday morning, and welcome to the Area 24 Evaluation Masterclass. I'm a Sergeant at Arms, Rajesh Menon. I'll quickly take you through some house rules, some housekeeping. I won't keep you long from the action that is going to come in a few minutes after me. The Toastmasters International mission is we empower individuals to become effective communicators and leaders. And our District 105 mission, as always, is we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving excellence. We're online today on Zoom, so a few reminders for online etiquette on how we want to conduct ourselves on this platform. Please keep your mobiles on silent. Taboo topics, politics, religion, and sex are not permitted during this meeting. Please stay muted unless you are asked to or you really need to put in a comment. Keep your cameras off ideally. It helps with bandwidth. It also helps to keep the visual noise down if that's an issue. And please be enthusiastic with your reactions. Show reactions with your reaction button. And we are all quite conversing with Zoom right now. I'm not going to take too much of your time, but here are the buttons. Use the mute buttons below this and the start stop video buttons as below, where you see it marked. Use your reaction buttons, great buttons over there, and we should be able to let our participants and our trainers know that we appreciate the good work. This meeting is being recorded. I'm not going to read through the text, but please do note that if you do have objections about this meeting being recorded, please make a note of it to the organizers. That's it from me. Looking forward to a great meeting. And on that note, may I please welcome you. I saw a movie called Tenet yesterday, and I was so reminded of young, dashing movers and shakers, as is our area director, a young, dashing mover and shaker. Please put your hands together for Toastmaster Adarsh Medgal. Adarsh, floor to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Rajesh, for that very kind introduction. So, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome all of you to the Evaluation Masterclass conducted by Area 24, Division L, District 105. So, this is a session for all of you. It's an opportunity for all of you to learn from the best in the business, no matter where you are in the world. So I won't say much because we have 2 hours of top quality learning which is going to come our way. So all I'm going to say is be attentive, keep your pen and paper ready, and let's enjoy this fantastic session. So to take us through this masterclass, we have someone for the day who's going to be our master of ceremonies. She's someone who has been in Toastmasters for almost 2 years now. Someone who's extremely dedicated. She's part of 5 clubs and in 4 XComs. And apart from that, she's also the Assistant Area Director Program Quality for Area 56. So you would have definitely seen her either at your club meeting or events or some area event or a division or a district event, because she's always there ready to help for Toastmasters. So please put your hands together for the Master of Ceremonies, Toastmaster Midat Siddiqui.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Adarsh. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to Area 24 Evaluation Masterclass, and I'll be your MC for the morning. I'll quickly go through the agenda, how our meeting is going to be divided for the morning. Okay, I hope it is clear and visible for all. So the session will be divided into 4 different categories. The first one will be the training session. Then we will have the live evaluation. Then we will have the panelist insights. And after that, the 4th one will be Q&A session. So I would recommend everyone to keep a paper and pen ready so that you can take down notes for the session. And then at the end of the session, you can send your question and answers to me, which will be addressed by our panelist of the morning. Now, evaluation is an opportunity to practice leadership skills such as listening, critical thinking, speech analysis, feedback, and motivation. In short, evaluation is an opportunity to help you learn, grow, and improve. Well, with that, it's time for me to hand over the stage to our trainer of the morning. Now, he's someone who has been into Toastmasters for almost 15 years. Well, to be precise, he will be completing his 15th year next year in May. And when I have gone through his record, I was like more than amazed because he has taken up leadership roles into various categories. If you could think of, he has been up to 15 appointments, which was including the president of 4 different clubs, VPE in 5 so far. He has served as the area director in District 90 back in 2018 to 2019, where he filled his role via Zoom. Well, when it wasn't even popular, he did that before anyone else. Currently, he's serving as the VPE of DIC Advanced Toastmaster Club. Now, to him, evaluation, he won evaluation first time for his club level. Then he went to the area, the next level. And he has won for contest for 4 consecutive years. He has, before that, he has been district champion 5 times in a row, and then finally at D70 evaluation contest in 2009 and 2010, and then a runner-up at district level in 2014. Well, he is someone who is full of feathers in his head, I can say, a very simple person, but full of knowledge and wisdom. So I want each one of you to make full use of all the wisdom that he's here to pour over here. So please put your hands together for an amazing person. Toastmaster DTM, David, over to you.
Thank you very much, Madam MC, Mr. Area Director and distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's Saturday morning. And of course, the first thing I do on a Saturday morning is get into my ice cream sundae, isn't it? In fact, I am prepared with some sweet treats for myself this morning. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about how ice cream sundaes are really made, because that's an important element to understand. And in all of my time, I've come to realize that ice cream sundaes come down to 3 very important elements. There is structure, there is substance, and there are sprinkles. So this morning, I'm going to show you how I think about evaluation and how you can develop your evaluation skills by first developing structure, then incorporating substance. And finally, when you're ready to take that big step, become the best evaluator in your club, go and do the evaluation contest, how you can add the sprinkles to make truly a wonderful ice cream sundae of your evaluations. And it's important to understand that this idea, this sort of 3 elements that I talk about, rely on each other, or in fact, you can't really have just sprinkles in your evaluations. Okay, you can't just throw sugar at people and expect it to matter. I mean, a handful of sprinkles, yeah, sure, you can eat it, but you're going to be hungry 30 seconds later, and it's really not going to be that enjoyable. You could hand someone, you could chuck a nice big dollop of substance, a nice heavy scoop of ice cream right into their hands, but it's just going to drip through their fingers and they're not going to get a chance to enjoy it properly. So before you have exceptional substance in your evaluations, it needs to be put into a structure. And before you can throw all the sprinkles on top, you need to have that structure and all the substance inside it so that your evaluations can have their full effect. Now, before we go on, there's a couple of things I just want you to keep in mind for the rest of our session this morning. Okay. First of all, very important to understand, an evaluation is a speech. It is a self-contained entity. It should stand on its own. It should have its own structure, its own introduction, body, and conclusion. It should work without you having to really see anything else. So don't make your evaluations kind of little snippets of ideas. Second of all, there is no right or wrong in speaking. There is effective and less effective or ineffective. It is not a matter of you should do, or it is right to do things this way and it is wrong to do things that way. It is simply, whenever you're evaluating, you're trying to work out whether something was effective or whether it wasn't. And finally, you're qualified. You are qualified to evaluate anyone who speaks to you. You are somebody who's been listening to people speak for 20, 30, some of us well over 40 years. You are qualified to make comment on how people speak. So whether you're evaluating a first-time icebreaker or a distinguished Toastmaster past district director, you are qualified to offer your thoughts on whether their speech was effective or could be made more effective. So I want you to keep those in mind as we go through the rest of the morning. So let's talk about structure. Now, this is really something that you need to get strong in your head right when you start evaluating. And I'm hoping that many of you in the audience today will have these ideas well better down. So I'm going to move through pretty quickly so we can get to the more advanced things a little bit later on. And hopefully this will be kind of second nature to you. So you would be familiar with the kind of sandwich technique. It's called different things depending on which club or which region you're in. Commend, recommend, commend, praise, inform, praise, plus, minus, plus. Hopefully you understand that you offer some positive, some praise, you offer some advice or some things that the speaker could do differently and better, and then you come back to offering further praise, okay? And the reason for that is that people don't just need a confidence boost. They don't just need the praise. They need the information that's going to make them better. They need to get the advice that's going to make them a better speaker.
I think the slides are not moving. Maybe you can stop and reshare. It's the last one was an evaluation of the speech.
Okay. It looks like it's moving on mine. Are you seeing evaluation structure right now?
No, it's an evaluation as a speech. Maybe you can just stop and reshare. Probably just.
Okay, let's kick this off again. Excuse me. Are you seeing a Sunday cup? Are the slides changing now?
Just loading.
I'm wondering whether my Kenyan internet connection is creating a little bit of a problem. I'll tell you what, the slides hopefully will, can you just tell me, Adarsh, what is the slide you see right now?
Okay, it's just saying started sharing, but it's yet to come.
Goodness me. Okay.
1 second. Let me try if I can share it.
Sure. I'll tell you what, because we have, limited time to get through all of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep talking, and hopefully I will be able to offer it clearly enough as we go that the slides will not be absolutely necessary. So bear with me. If you have questions, please take note as you go. You can send them to our MC and we'll come back and tackle them at the end. So we're talking about structure, first of all, and hopefully you understand there's those three basic elements of the structure: commendation, recommendation, commendation. You're going to make your sandwich, okay? That's not all there is to it. You also need a clear introduction. Like I said, an evaluation is a speech. So your introduction should establish what the purpose of the speech was and what the speech, the overall speech meaning was, and therefore on what basis you are going to offer your feedback. What type of an evaluation are you going to give? So you need to create a clear introduction to your evaluation. You're going to offer one or two elements of praise, one or two elements of recommendation or advice, and come back with one, maybe two elements of praise. You have time in a 3-minute evaluation for approximately 4 to 5 ideas. If you're trying to list 7 or 8 different observations, you are either not going to explain them well enough, and or you're going to run out of time before you've completed all your observations. So you're going to do those key points, and then you are going to summarize. Now, I don't like talking about the judging sheet in an evaluation contest because I often tell people, I want to teach you how to be a really good evaluator, and the judging sheet will take care of itself. This is one area on a judging sheet which absolutely is without doubt an important element of how the judges score. If you don't offer a summary, you miss out on 15% of your mark on the scoring sheet. If you don't offer a summary in a normal evaluation, you miss an incredibly important opportunity to tell your speakers what was most important in their speech and what they can go and develop next time. So there's the structure we're talking about. Next, some things that it's moving along.
Yeah, it's moving. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Adarsh. So to incorporate into your commendations, your pluses, identify what the strengths are, but clearly state what the effect of that strength was, rather than simply gushing and saying, oh, I thought you had wonderful eye contact. Oh, wasn't the use of descriptive adjectives wonderful? What was the effect? So that the speaker can understand how they use that and how they can use it in the future. In your recommendations, you're identifying what the improvement is, not what the problem is. Yeah, if you leave somebody with a problem, they come back next week with a problem. If you leave someone with a solution, then now there's a good chance they'll put that solution into effect the next time. Importantly, why was it not effective? What was the effect on the speak that that particular issue had for you as an audience member and the evaluator? So here's where people miss the mark when they're getting started in evaluations, then they're trying to learn how to structure effectively. First of all, they spend time regurgitating, rehashing what the speech was, explaining to the audience the speech that they just saw, how that happened. Well, we just saw the speech. We know how it happened. I don't need to be told it again. And you're wasting time by doing that. You have your 3 minutes. You need to get into your key ideas. Cliches. Now I'm going to ask people to use their react button, so stand by on them. I'm going to ask you to use one of your reactions if you have ever used a line similar to the ones I'm going to show you now. It was my pleasure this evening to evaluate. David came up here and he. Other than that, I thought it was a fantastic speech. And I look forward to many more. Now, I'm only getting so much of my gallery looking, but I'm seeing a few reacts coming up. I suspect that most of you have definitely heard these lines used in evaluations, if not used them yourself repeatedly. I have used these from time to time, but goodness me, if you start thinking about these phrases, you'll start to realize none of them actually say anything at all. There is no value in any of those phrases, and yet we seem to use them all the time. We saw, we know that you're the evaluator. We saw the speaker come up and begin speaking. Other than that, I thought it was a fantastic speech where you're kind of undercutting yourself there, and I look forward to many more. So it's important to understand that you want to get away from using these types of cliched elements and use phrases that you make up yourself that are relevant to this speech and this speaker. I think most people are familiar with the idea of a whitewash evaluation where there's no real recommendations, no notes for improvement. It's just, oh, this was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, and we all know that David is a distinguished Toastmaster and a wonderful speaker, so I really don't have any points for improvement. This is missing that important leadership opportunity that we've been talking about this morning. And finally, talking directly to the speaker. Now on Zoom, this makes less sense, but when you're in any meeting setting, when you start getting and talking directly to the speaker about how they could improve their speech, you cut all the rest of your audience out. And the evaluation is not just for the speaker, the evaluation is for everyone. So use a first person pronoun, talk about the speaker rather than to the speaker. Okay, let's get started then. Now that we've got through the structure, everybody's on board, let's start talking about substance, because there's a couple of key ideas that I see contest evaluators and good club evaluators not get sort of miss the mark with. So the first thing is very, very important to understand as an evaluator is what the different purposes of speech are. Now, we used to teach this as part of our CC manual, our Competent Communicator projects. In fact, in project 2, it talks all about speech purpose. We don't have that with our Pathways program anymore. So who can remember way back from their Competent Communicator days, there are 4 speech purposes. Anybody want to quickly yell out?
Inspiration.
Everybody's staying on their mute buttons.
Inspiration.
I'm hearing entertain, I'm hearing inspire. And I'm going to shortcut. I'm going to
Inform.
shortcut. Inform, entertain, persuade, inspire. These are the 4 speech purposes. And any speech should fit into one and one only of these purposes. So a speech should definitively be designed to inform or to entertain, persuade, or inspire, not several of them. Now, this confuses people because what most people have a real problem with is the difference between a speech purpose and, sorry, I'll move forward there, and the method or strategy that a speaker uses to achieve that purpose. Now, just take a moment, I assume many of you have seen the World Championship of Public Speaking, the finalists and the winners of the International Speech Contest. I don't think you will find a world champion from the last 20 years who isn't quite funny, doesn't tell quite a number of jokes, isn't quite a humorous person in their speech, incorporates a lot of funny material into their speech. Are they delivering an entertaining speech though? Almost never. They are almost always delivering an inspiring speech, and they're using a method of humor to deliver that inspiration. So it's very important to understand the difference between what the purpose of the speech was and the strategy that the speaker uses to make that purpose happen. And this happens across the board. If you think about a car salesman is a persuasive speaker. They want to persuade you to buy that car. But the method that they use will be, in part, to inform you of the qualities of the car, to entertain you a little bit, or give you the dramatic idea of how good it would be to drive that car and what that car can do for you. But their purpose is always to persuade. They want you to sign on the dotted line, hand over your money, and take the car off them. So when you're delivering your evaluation, or where you're putting your evaluation together, you need to identify what was the purpose of the speech. What is it this speaker wants me to think, feel, or do when I leave the room? Once you've done that, you can start to look at what were the methods and strategies they used to achieve that purpose, and were they effective? If you do it the other way around, you start to get a little bit lost because you're off track from what the speaker was really trying to do. I'm going to show you a little clip here and something that people mess up. So hopefully the sound will come through well. This is a favored comedian of mine from some years ago.
It's my birthday recently. For my birthday, I got a humidifier and a dehumidifier. I put them in the same room, let them fight it out. Then I filled my humidifier with wax. Now my room's all shiny. I went to a museum where they had all the heads and arms from the statues that are in all the other museums.
Now that was one of my favorite comedians, Stephen Wright, well known back in the 80s and 90s, and he will deliver 60 to 90 minutes of material in that exact same voice. So what do you think a Toastmaster evaluator would say to him evaluating his material? They will probably say, oh, look, Stephen needs to use more vocal variety, okay? Stephen should use more vocal variety. Unfortunately, that doesn't really address what's going on. In fact, Stephen Wright uses a complete lack of vocal variety to achieve his purpose, which is to entertain. He is an entertaining speaker, and the vocal variety is chosen, or the voice that he is using, enhances his ability to entertain. So I want you to think about that, go back a sec. When we're looking at the purpose and the methods that the speaker is using, you need to look at what the effect that they're creating is, not what technique they are using. So when you look at techniques, if you talk about, oh, you could use better vocal variety, for example, well, you're just locked into what vocal variety you would use, what vocal variety you know how to use, not what the effect on the audience would be. And that limits you quite a great deal. It also means that you're trusting your judgment better than anyone else's. But if you look at what the effect of various techniques was, you can evaluate and give ideas on how to improve that effect. So rather than say advice like, oh, Stephen should use more vocal variety, or Stephen could use the stage more, you would get different types of advice, for example, in a different speech, emphasizing key ideas with a slower, stronger voice would make the information clearer. So if you understand that the purpose was to inform and that using particular elements of vocal variety would make that information clearer, then you've managed to give advice that will be useful for that speaker for that speech. Where people miss the mark with delivering substance in their evaluations, the I3 scoop. So not quite getting the difference between purpose and strategy. So always, when I'm preparing an evaluation, right at the top of the page, as soon as the speaker has given me enough to work with, that I understand what they want me to think, feel, or do after the speech, that's their purpose. And I identify what of those 4 general purposes are: inform, entertain, persuade, and inspire, and what specific purpose they had from the speech. Then I look at what the methods and strategies are. There's a lot of people who hedge, what I call hedging, which is when you've got some great ideas, you've got your recommendations, you know, you've identified that, for example, that eye contact was a really sort of big element that this speaker could work on. But when you deliver that advice, you end up saying, oh, look, it's just a small thing and I wouldn't worry about it too much, but perhaps maybe you could think about including some better eye contact in your speaking. You see what I did there? I've undersold my idea before I've even delivered it. I don't want to hurt the person's feelings. So I've sort of said, no, we don't want to do, I don't really want to bring this up, but because it's an evaluation, I have to. No. Better eye contact for this speaker might lead to a better, more effective speech. And I'm qualified to make that observation. They're ready to listen to what I have to say. I don't need to hedge with what with the advice I'm giving. And finally, the laundry list, which is where you offer feedback without any kind of qualification or explanation. Oh, I thought it had wonderful eye contact and the descriptive words was really good, really good use of the stage, and I like the facial expressions. Other than that, it was a fantastic speech and I look forward to many more. This is the laundry list style without substance in evaluation. All right, let's talk about sprinkles. This is where hopefully most of you are. You've already understand the basic structure of an evaluation, and hopefully you've got some good ideas already about the purpose of a speech and how to separate out purpose from method and strategy, and how to incorporate clear ideas in your recommendations that aren't hedged. So let's talk about sprinkles, because this is where the contest, the high level contest evaluators are really doing their work. And you know, it's something that does take a certain degree of experience and preparation to get right. But there are some things you can do to assist your evaluations in really standing out as being particularly effective. Now, I like to say if we're looking at purposes of speech, a level 1 evaluator, somebody who can get their structure right, they're going to offer a good informative evaluation. Somebody who gets their substance just right and has all of the understanding of purpose and what the speaker was trying to do, they're going to do a persuasive evaluation. But a truly capable evaluator who sees all the little nooks and crannies of a speech and is able to help the speaker learn and be better next time, they're going to deliver the sprinkles and deliver an inspirational evaluation. So how do we do that? First of all, you want your evaluation to be memorable. Achieve emphasis, emphasize your key points, make your key points simple and easy to understand, using emphasis, repetition, and if you possibly can, relate it back to the speech or the speaker. Now, let me give you a couple of examples there. One of my early mentees, I should say, was delivering his icebreaker speech, and he happened to be a young music producer. He worked in the studio, and his icebreaker was all about his time in the studio and what he was hoping to achieve with his music production career. So when I delivered the evaluation, or when I was designing the evaluation, I talked about the qualities of a good demo record, a first debut album. What did this guy have? What was the fundamental talent he was showing us? And then I talked about what all great artists deliver in their second album. What are the skills that they developed and honed to become better musicians going into a second album? And this was the ideas that was going to take him from an icebreaker to his next speech and on in his speaking journey. And because I offered it in those terms, talked about it being a demo record and what his second record could look like, it was memorable to him and it was memorable to the audience because it was specifically related to exactly the subject material he delivered. Delivering a powerful evaluation. To deliver a powerful evaluation, you're trying to make complex ideas simple. Now, this is the thing I do worst. I make complex ideas more complex, but when I have prepared my evaluations well, I have boiled down very, very complex and nuanced elements into simple things that a speaker can do in order to be better next time. If you go about explaining to a speaker how they should do it next time and deliver a sort of a sample of how they could sound next time or how they could look next time when they do it, you have made a complex idea more complicated and will be less powerful as an evaluator. And fundamentally, you want to be motivational, and that is you want to show or give a speaker an idea of what they could achieve, and importantly, make them believe that they can. I'm a firm believer that anyone given proper advice and encouragement can develop themselves into an excellent speaker. Most Toastmasters don't believe that when they're starting out, or even when they've been going a little while. So a truly motivational speaker convinces, a truly motivational evaluator convinces their speaker that they can and should be better. And you've got to do all of that in 3 minutes. So you need to have some ideas about how you're going to use your time in the evaluation contest. And maybe you've already developed your little tips and tricks that are going to give you some ideas on how to use your time in the evaluation contest. Now, you're probably familiar with the fact that in the contest, once you've heard the speech, you're taken out of the room or you're put in the breakout room and you have 5 minutes to prepare your evaluation. But that is not all the time you have to prepare your evaluation. Well, first of all, you've got all the time before the contest starts to start getting ready. You can't make any notes during that time, but you can focus yourself on understanding speech purposes and knowing who the speaker is and all the elements of preparation that you need. But importantly, you have somewhere approaching 7 minutes during the speech to prepare your notes, and then you have 5 minutes more. So you have a total of somewhere close to 12 minutes to prepare your evaluation. And that's actually quite a lot of time. And that's bare minimum. Some speakers, some evaluators will get even more time if you happen to draw at the end of the speaking draw. So a couple of things to do during the actual contest speech or the target speech, okay? Make sure you know what the name of the speaker and the title of the speech is. I've seen plenty of very good contest evaluators not know the name of the speaker or the title of the speech or have it misunderstood or misheard. So I always make sure you're listening to the Toastmaster, the MC, when they introduce the target speaker, and make sure you get that information right, because it's extremely embarrassing and it's hard to come across as authentic and genuine when you don't know the name of your speaker. As soon as possible, while the target speaker is delivering their speech, establish what their purpose is. One of those 4 general purposes: inform, entertain, persuade, inspire, and what their specific purpose was. So to entertain about in what way, to inspire what exactly they're trying to inspire you to do. The sooner you get there, I write that right at the top of my page, what the purpose is, because every single observation I make after that should relate back to what the purpose is at the top of the page. Obviously, while you're listening to the speech, Please make sure you're paying attention all the way through. It's very, very easy to get stuck into your notes along the way, but you want to take as much time listening to the speaker and as little time actually writing the notes as possible. But you want to just capture those key observations and points before the end of the speech. Hopefully when the speaker is kind of coming to the end of their speech, you can look down at your page and know that you've got enough material to put together a 3-minute evaluation. Because when you leave the room, when you go to your breakout room and you've got your 5 minutes of note-taking time, that is not the time that you write down everything you're going to say. Your 5-minute prep time goes very, very quickly. You've got about 2 minutes maximum to pick what ideas you're going to deliver in your evaluation. So by the end of the first 2 minutes, you should have what are my 4, 5, maximum 6 points that I'm going to deliver as part of an evaluation. And you should know what order they're going to come in. You're going to try to design a flow that moves logically from your first commendation through your recommendations and to your final commendations. Then you need a couple of minutes to design your introduction and your summary. So like all most good speeches, you write the conclusion first, then you write the introduction, and then you fill in the body along the way. You need time to create your introduction and match it up with your summary so that your 3-minute evaluation will have that good solid structure and will be related to the purpose of the speech. So let me give you a good example here. In fact, it was the district final evaluation contest that I was in, and the target speaker had given a speech about her work with people who had cerebral palsy, a difficult physical disability, and she told a wonderfully inspirational story about some of the things she saw in the people that she worked with dealing with this particular illness. And the title of the speech was The Haves and the Have-Nots. And I was very lucky. I drew sort of, deep in the speaking order. So I had a little bit of time to prepare my introduction. And my introduction went something like this. In Alison's world, there is no such thing as a have-not. There is someone who can have, and there is what you can have if you're prepared to work hard enough. Let us now talk about what Alison has. Within that 15-second introductory line, I realized that the contest was almost over because in just 15 seconds, I'd managed to capture what was the purpose of the speech, what was the overall subject matter of the speech, and pivot directly into what's my first commendation for Alison, the target speaker. So just spending that little bit of time to create one clear line that connects purpose, the subject matter of the speech, and something about the speaker was what allowed my evaluation that day to sound powerful, memorable, and more compelling. So spending just a couple of minutes designing a good, clear introductory line that is a little bit more powerful than, for example, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, it was my pleasure this evening to evaluate David Griffiths on his speech. You can come up with something that will grab attention and connect all the dots for what this evaluation is really about. So if you can do that during your 5-minute prep time, at least the basis of it, then you get your rehearsal time. If you're deep in the speaking order and don't have to go on stage right away, you've got all this bonus time to make sure without your notes that you have the order of your commendations and recommendations clear in your mind. And what's that first line going to be? How's that introduction going to get you into the evaluation? And how is my summary going to connect back to the key points I'm making? That's 15 years worth of evaluation experience crammed into a slightly clunky 25-minute slideshow. But I'm going to tell you one last thing. It's very important to understand this morning. I am not the best evaluator in this meeting. In fact, we have many, many evaluators in this meeting who are better than me, and some of them are going to show you how they do it. But hopefully this idea of structure, substance, and finally the sprinkles on top have given you some ideas of how you can develop further. And I look forward to hearing from our MC or some of your questions about the session are later on in our meeting. But until then, I'll hand back to our Master of Ceremonies. Thank you, Mida.
Wow, that was marvelous. Thank you so much, DTM David. May I request everyone to please unmute yourself and give DTM David a big round of applause. I'm sure with the wisdom that he has shared here, we have broadened the horizon of our knowledge, not just the craving for ice cream at this hour. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. To let everyone know, he's right now in Kenya on work, but he stick to his commitment and be here to help us become better evaluators. So once again, we are really grateful. We truly appreciate your commitment and dedication to spread the knowledge and pass on the knowledge. Thank you so much, TTM David. Wow, that was an amazing session. And I'm sure that right now, everyone has been busy writing down notes and making sure that they have noted down every single thing. So may I request, with the assistance of my Zoom master, can I request everyone to please switch on your cameras so that we can have a quick picture. Okay, that's amazing. Yes, now I can see all the lovely faces who are present in the room. Okay, Zoom master, let me know when we are ready to click the picture.
Yes, I'm ready. I'm just waiting for 2-3 seconds more because a lot of people is still not switched on their cameras.
So just switch on the cameras with your best smile.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Wow. Done with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Elna. Okay, then with that, apart from that, I'd like to show our gratitude for all the dignitaries who are present in the house. Thank you so much, DTM Rania, for dropping in, our Club Growth Director of District 105, our PR Manager, DTM Deepa. Thank you so much for joining us at this hour, and our Admin Manager of District 105, DTM Deepa Godwani. Thank you so much for stopping by and taking full advantage of this wonderful session. Now it's time for our next session. Yes, it is going to be all mysterious. Yes, we are going to invite our mysterious champion, mystery speaker. One request to everyone, make sure while the speaker is on the stage, you can do the evaluation work as well. Take down notes so we can utilize it later on. Now, this particular person has been into Toastmasters for 3 years. He has been first runner-up in Division B, ISC 2020, and second runner-up in District 92, ISC 2018, and first runner-up in District 92 Humorous Speech Contest 2017. He values evaluation very much, especially when evaluator is honest and suggests ideas that he may incorporate and try it out in his next speech. Now, before I officially invite him, I hope all our panelists are ready. Can I have a thumbs up from your end, please? Okay. Okay, great. So I can carry on. Okay, so we can officially invite him on the stage. He is someone who has won hearts lately with his newscasting skills and was daring enough to address many rumors that were going around in District 105. So please put your hands together for our champion mystery speaker, Toastmaster Rahul. Toastmaster Rahul?
Yes, hi, Toastmaster Medat. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible and visible. I hope you have timed the timer. I mean, you have pinned the timer.
Not exactly. If the Zoom Master can pin the timer, it would be great.
Done.
Okay. So the timing will be 5 green, 6 amber, and
6.
7 red.
Perfect.
Okay, so I confirm that you're audible and visible. So, Toastmaster Rahul Kumar with the speech title, Someone is Watching. Someone is watching, Toastmaster Rahul Kumar.
Wondering why? I'll tell you. As a child, I used to sneak into the kitchen, climb onto the counter, open the cabinet, and there it was, the box of candy bars that my mother thought she had hidden from me. But just as I was going to pick some, is someone watching? Nope. And then, how many of you guys did that as a child? Not the evil laugh, but still. And hold on, how many of you guys still do it? Toastmaster of the day, and my dear friends, my mother was a very wise person. She used to always tell me, Rahul, it does not matter what you do in life. Just be a good person, a role model. You don't have to achieve great things to be a role model. Just live good values because someone is watching. Oh, you mean God, mommy? Not God, sweetie, but someone is watching. But my father, on the other hand, was an even wiser person. He used to always tell me, Rahul, it does not matter what you do in life. Just listen to your mother. She's always right. Uh, but Dad, she keeps talking about this someone and I'll. Oh, yes, that's someone. If you ever find out who that is, you tell me first. So as a child, I used to search everywhere. At the park, at the mall, during my exams. Oh, that time someone was watching my paper. But I never really actually found that someone until a few years back. I was at the railway station in India waiting for my train. As I sat on a bench, I saw an old homeless man in front of me. He had a dark, wrinkled face, long, rough hair and beard, wrapped in a torn blanket. He was weak. He could barely raise his hand to ask money from people passing by. Nobody cared. Nobody did anything. I didn't do anything. And just as the train behind me began to move, I saw a young man in the suit begin to run. Clearly, that was his train. Seeing the young man, the old homeless man raised his shivering hand in hope. But nothing. But then the young man stopped, ran back to the homeless man, opened his bag, took out a sandwich, gave it to the homeless man, nodded his head in acknowledgement, and then ran back to catch that train. The old man was shocked, but he held that sandwich as if it was his own baby. His tired face brightened up, his eyes swelled with tears, and then a smile, a toothless smile. A smile so wide, it melted my heart. And as the train behind me left the station, I just sat there trying to recapture those life-changing moments. I didn't even realize. I stood up, dashed to the nearest shop, got as much food and water as I could, and I gave it to that homeless man. And I pledged that day that to the best of my abilities, I will help the unfortunate. to help spread that smile. But who was that young man in the suit? Did he know that he would become a role model to me that day? No. I was just that someone who was watching. Ladies and gentlemen, we have no idea who could be watching us. We have no idea who could be listening to us. Oh, we have no idea whose hearts we can touch, whose lives we can change. We can be a role model to a 2-year-old or to a 70-year-old by simply living good values. Later that day, as I walked home, I thought about the old man, the young man. I thought about myself and about how all the other people could have been watching me throughout my life and how I may have influenced them for the better or for the worse. To shrug these thoughts away, I picked out a cigarette, a habit I picked up a few years ago by watching someone. But today I was careful. There was nobody around, but I still had that same feeling when I used to steal those candy bars as a child, that someone is still watching. I looked around and there he was, ladies and gentlemen. In that puddle of water below me, he stood holding a cigarette and staring straight into my eyes. I had been watching myself this whole time. And that is what we must all realize, ladies and gentlemen, that before others can watch us, we need to watch ourselves. Because if we cannot be a role model to ourselves, then how can you be a role model to someone else? And when I think about all of us here today, I know we can be those role models to those someones who could be watching. And it all starts by watching yourselves. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rahul. That was an amazing speech. Now we are going to take a 5 minutes break so the evaluators, panelists can note down the evaluation. And then I would request everyone present in the house that you can utilize these 5 minutes to take down notes. And then later on, while our panelists are on the screen, you can match up how well you have evaluated and which are the points that you need to improve. So we will observe 5 minutes silence for the panelists to note down the evaluation. Panelists, are we good to go? DTM Ganesh, DTM Robin, and Toastmaster Nisha? All right then. Timer, please note down, we will observe 5 minutes of silence. And again, I will reiterate that please utilize these 5 minutes well to take down notes. Thank you, Mr. Timer. All right, then the time is up. I hope our panelists have noted down all the points. Okay, I see DTM Ganesh on the screen. Okay, I will just highlight the timings mechanism for the evaluation. At 2 minutes, it will be green. At 2.5 minutes, it will be yellow. And at 3, it will be green. All right, then. So I will introduce our first evaluator for the panelists. May I request DTM Ganesh to be on the screen? Over to you, DTM Ganesh.
Can I quickly check if you're able to hear me all right?
Yes, I confirm you're audible and visible. Please go ahead.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Today, we all watched. And we watched Rahul remind us that someone is always watching. So be aware, be conscious, and be true to who you are. Wonderful message, Rahul. Thank you very much for delivering such a powerful message to us in such an entertaining manner. Your key strengths, I believe, lie in how you think and structure your material. I think you chose a storytelling technique which was perfect for delivering such a message. And you had 3 lovely anecdotes, which were all strung together neatly. It allowed the audience to follow your speech from the beginning to the end. And because of your storytelling capabilities, we were all hooked onto it pretty well. I also think one of your other strengths lies in dramatics. The use of body language, gestures, stage, the ability to look into the camera, walk away from it, and use dramatics to maximum effect. I think you did a great job today. I would love for you to utilize this particular strength in all your speeches because it really does have a formidable impact on the audience. There are a couple of recommendations that I'd like to give you today. One of those is to do with how not to explain something. Now, we all know when you crack a joke, if you were to go ahead and explain that joke, you kind of dissipate its effect. Today, I felt towards the end when you were talking about the puddle and you watched yourself in that puddle, there was a moment where a long pause would have been appropriate, would have been apt, instead of explaining to the audience that you are watching yourself all the time. The moment you spoke and explained that concept, I thought you took away the wow factor in your speech to a little extent. Had you left us reflecting momentarily on the fact that we are always watching ourselves and we don't need anyone else, that I think would have been a really dramatic conclusion to your speech. So think about it. See how you can use that idea in the future. And the one other thing that I'd like you to think about also is towards the conclusion. When you conclude, try not to say over to you. Just conclude and leave it for the audience to soak in and reflect on what you have said to us. So your key strengths, structure, dramatics, couple of areas. Don't explain, don't over-explain. Let people reflect on what the key message is that you're trying to give us. Good luck for your next speech.
Thank you, DTM Ganesh, for your valuable insights. Now we'd like to invite for the evaluation, our second panelist. May I invite DTM Robin on the screen, please?
Hi, Midat. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, I confirm that you're audible and visible. Over to you, DTM Robin.
Thank you. Rahul, your message was something which connected with me because I've always thought that whatever I do, if someone were watching, would I do the same thing? So yes, I think your topic was something which definitely connected with me. I'm sure it would have connected with a lot of other people. And I liked many things about what you did today. And the first thing that I would like to comment on is how you use the virtual space. Now, I think we've seen a lot of speakers speak, but today you were very, very conscious of the frame that you were using. You used the depth, you used the width, and you also kind of came forward when you wanted to reinforce a message that showed your awareness in terms of the medium. So I just loved that part. You were very, very comfortable in your space, and you used it very cleverly. So I just loved that part. And then the second part I really liked was your voice modulation. It's not easy to laugh the way you did. You laughed, and then a lot of times the emotion that you wanted to capture, your different laughs were different because you could modulate your voice and you had emotion in your voice. And so you really used your voice to create an impact in your story. So that's again your strength. You did it quite well, and it was very measured. You didn't overdo it, especially when you're laughing. You can overdo it, but you managed it very well. And the best part was, of course, your opening and your end was beautifully tied. The first one was about your candy story, where you made people think someone is watching, and then finally the end where you clearly emphasized that it's you who is watching you, by the analogy of a puddle. That was wonderfully done. Now, if I have to suggest some areas which you need to improve on, the first would be, this is a speech where the objective was to inspire the audience. So clearly your storytelling, your emotion, everything helped. But I felt the conflict needed to be much more deeper, because you are trying to inspire people and make them act by actually making them change themselves. So it's something, you are very ambitious with your speech. So you need to be going much more deeper and shake people. Right now you touched me, but you need to push me, shock me. So you needed to do something more, and you had the capability of doing it because your storyline had that connect. But possibly the cigarette possibly is something, yes, it's interesting, but you could have chosen something which was a little bit more conflicting and which will really connect with people. So that is one change that I would like to see. And then another strength that I loved was the repetition. Someone is watching, you brought out many times, so you reinforce the message. You didn't wait till the end to reinforce the message. In between, again you reinforced it. So that was wonderfully done. And one more area that you could look at is your posture. When you were trying to pose as yourself, you were bending down, so that was kind of not didn't come across well. So in summary, I think you are a strong storyteller. You use your virtual backgrounds very well. You have great voice. Just remember the few suggestions I gave, and you will do very well. Keep telling these wonderful stories and inspiring us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, DTM Robin, for the detailed evaluation. Now we are going to move forward for our third evaluation panelist. May I request DTM Nisha to be at the screen? Yes. Can you please say something so we know that you're audible?
Good evening, Toastmasters. Good morning, Toastmasters. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Over to you, DTM Nisha.
Toastmaster Rahul, today it was a delightful exercise in studied eloquence that you gave us. Thank you. Oh, with that spunky opening right into the middle of a conversation, you caused a ripple and you caught my attention. Then you were taking those twists and turns through the several anecdotes in your life and those conversations. And by the time you concluded, you had subtly encrypted your message into my mind, and I was aware that everyone is watching me. Let me recount some fine points in speechcraft that I noted in your speech today. It was a topic that was relatable to all. The language that you used was simple and clear, and each and every word was enunciated so well. I liked your attempt at humor, where you brought that quintessential father making fun of your mother. And one after the other, you were trying so well to modulate your voices into different conversations. And I was actually impressed with the way you were using the newfound screen presence, where you were moving in front of the camera and you were almost looking like a caricature giving those messages. The defining moment for me today was when you looked at the reflection and you made the change in your mind. That was a clear exercise as to how to give your message across. Now I would be your night watchman to help you get ready for your century the next time around and give you a couple of recommendations. First of all, Rahul, when you do the voice modulations, ease out. Be comfortable in your own shell like the turtle. For example, when your mother is saying, Rahul, it does not matter what you do in life, I'm sure your mother would say it in a different way. Rahul, it's not important what you do with your life. Give that life and ease in your voice modulations. That will really enhance your presentation. Also, when you have the different anecdotes, take care of the pauses, the transitions from one anecdote to the other. Maybe in the newfound screen, you can move from, if you can turn and, or take a pause and do something to give a gap between the stories so that one after the other, the steps that you climb is clear in the viewer's mind. And when you look at that reflection, for example, pause, have those gestures, look at the reflection, have that change in pace. Slow pace also helps rather than a fast pace throughout the conversation. A sparkling speaker, in a nutshell, Toastmaster Rahul, with your practice, presence, and clarity. You may spruce it up with ease and gestures and those pauses. And I can see many people looking at their reflections now, and I am looking at mine. Thank you.
Thank you, DTM Nisha. Wow, that was an amazing session. 3 different people and 3 amazing various flavors that we get to hear from 3 amazing evaluators. Thank you so much for the insights. And this is the segment, this live evaluation comes to an end. And we are going to move forward for our third, where we are going to have the insights, a detailed insight from our panelists. Now, I will just introduce the timings. It will be 4, 5, and 6. At 4, it will be green. At 5, it will be yellow. And at 6, it will be green. So are we ready for the panel insights? Okay, amazing. So let's dive in for the third segment of the morning. Now, our first panelist is someone who has been a member since 2017 or 2007 of Toastmasters International. He has taken up roles like area director. He has also been a DTech education chair in 2015. Now, education chair is somewhat similar to a VP education of a club. And when we asked him, he said that evaluation is one of his favorites. And to him, it only means to make a difference to a speaker. So we must all become really good at it. He has contested plenty of times, won Division B contest when Division was used to be the highest level for evaluation contests. And subsequently, he has won 3rd place at DTech in Muscat a few years back. Now, if I have to introduce him a little further, I would say that he is someone who I really see him as smiling. But there is one thing which is guaranteed, that whenever he comes on stage to give an education session on evaluation, I can guarantee you after each evaluation session, there is a big smile on the listeners. Yes, a smile of confidence that yes, we can be a better evaluator, just as the education session that we have received. So please put your hands together for the first panelist of the morning, DTM Ganesh. Over to you, DTM Ganesh.
Thank you so much. Right. To be honest, I'm not going to repeat what Dave has already said in the morning. I think in the 25 minutes that he spent, he has pretty much covered all aspects of how to evaluate at contests and beyond. In fact, his session focused on how to be good evaluators generally and use some of those skills in a contest situation. So I'll quickly share with you what I did today. All right. I'm a little rusty to begin with because I haven't competed for a while. And I think that is the most important message that I want to put across to all of you. Those of you who are keen on contesting, contest a lot, which means you need practice. So keep evaluating at the club. Continue to take every opportunity you get to evaluate, because unless you do it on and on, you will really not finesse your skills and you will never be at the peak when the contest season comes. So in the run up to the contest season, make sure that you take every opportunity to evaluate. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is that planning piece that Dave talked about. It is extremely important to plan what you will say because you've got only 3.5 minutes. And the last 30 seconds are meant for the summary. So don't lose out on that, which means you've got roughly 3 minutes in all to organize all your thoughts and choose what you think are the most salient features of the speech or the speaker, and what is it that you must bring out. The way I go about deciding that is see what has the maximum impact. And I think Dave called it effect. What has the maximum effect on the audience? Now that could be a strength and that could be an area that needs focus on, because both of them, if they are powerful, then they will make that kind of an effect. So if it's a positive thing, obviously it will impress the audience. But if it's something that needs focus and attention, then it's likely that it would have had a negative effect on the audience, and that also would have been quite powerful. So I try and look for those things. That's what I spend my time doing in the 5 minutes, and very quickly jot down 3 bullet points that I want to bring out as strengths, 3 areas maximum as areas of focus or recommendations, and then a summary statement. In terms of taking down notes, that's something that I do. Let me see if I can find it. I'm not sure entirely if everybody will be able to read this or see this. What it is a grid. So I use a 2x2 grid. It has content on the top and delivery at the bottom. And the first column is positives and the second column is areas of improvement. So as I'm listening to the speaker, as I'm watching the speaker, I try and jot down whatever my observations are in those 4 boxes. It just makes life easier when you're trying to choose eventually what is it that you want to say when you package your evaluation speech. Again, I would emphasize what Dave had already said, which is you must have a structure to your evaluation speech. So an introductory line, your 2 or 3 key areas that you want to talk about, strengths and recommendations, and then conclusion is your summary. As far as style is concerned, my personal style, as you would have seen, is quite different from Robin's. It's quite different from Nisha's. It's what we are and what we are most comfortable with. I'm more matter of fact. I'm more about what I observed and what I think is the impact and where I feel the speaker should make a difference in order to be more effective. So in today's speech, for me, the most poignant moment was Rahul looking over that puddle. And at the same time, that being the most powerful and the most, the place where he showed and showcased his strength in building up to that point, that is where I thought if he had not explained it, then the impact would have been really great. You know, self-reflection is perhaps the best way to motivate somebody and to inspire someone. So I personally felt that he should not have gone ahead and explained it because that dissipated the impact for me. And I felt that long pregnant pause over there would have been appropriate, would have been apt enough for people to get the message. Again, as you saw, different observers have different opinions and different perspectives. eventually, it's just my opinion. It's Rahul's prerogative to see how he can experiment with the recommendations that we have provided. And that brings me to the final message that I want to give to the audience is, when you are making observations, you are only offering your opinion. You're only offering your perspective. So deliver it in a manner that it sounds like that, and deliver it as if you're proposing something for the individual to consider going forward. That is my personal take, and that is my personal approach. I wouldn't want to impose anything on anyone, and I really don't think anybody is in a position to impose. So with that, let me conclude by saying, have a grid ready to take down observations. Spend the 5 minutes to pick what you believe will have the maximum impact, both in terms of strengths and recommendations for the audience as well as for the speaker. And then don't forget to summarize, because if you don't summarize your evaluation, you lose out on 15 points out of 100. Back to you, Midat.
Thank you so much, DTM Ganesh, for highlighting these points, specifically the format, structure, and how we can point-wise divide our structure of the evaluation. Well, that was really amazing. Now we are going to invite our second panelist of the morning. Now, he is someone who has been into Toastmasters for 13 years. Yes, you heard me right. Now, he is a DTM. One path has been completed in Pathways, and 2 other paths are in progress. He has taken up all the positions from VPPR to the district director, and yes, he has been our immediate past district director as well. He has reached district evaluation twice. And when we asked him about his views on evaluation, he said that it's all about compassion, objectivity, and servant leadership at its best when we do a good job as an evaluator. He believes that a speaker and evaluator and the club all benefit from a quality evaluation. Now, if I have to give him a personalized introduction, I'd say that he is a very affable person. I remember meeting him while he was the district director. And when I approached him, I just felt like I'm meeting a fellow club member, not the real district director. So yes, you know how approachable and how friendly and affable this person is. So please put your hands together for our immediate past district director, DTM Robin, the ever smiling person. Over to you, DTM Robin.
Thank you so much, Midat, for those wonderful words. I think you are more affable than I am, so you feel everybody's affable. So thank you for that. But let me be very clear. Now I'm going to talk about being a competitive evaluator. If you're going to contest for an evaluation contest, being affable or being a district director anytime will not going to really help you. Okay, your time is like money, and you have to prepare mentally to be ready as the first evaluator before the contest. That is the key to preparation. You have to assume you are going to be the first evaluator. So when you put that in your mind, that's when you really get ready. In the sense, the speaker delivers his speech. After 5 minutes, you are back on stage. If you can be ready for that, you are really ready. And how can you do that? I used to do this, so I'm going to share this with you. You need to simulate this situation back home or wherever you need to practice. So you need to put on a speech, time yourself, hear that speech, give yourself 5 minutes, prepare those notes, and after 5 minutes, for 3 minutes, speak. If you do this regularly, your mind gets into a mode of being able to do it regularly, because whatever said and done today, after doing this after a long time, I'm sure Ganesh faced it, Nisha faced it, we were all feeling the crunch of time. That's because we are not in the mode of competing. So if you are preparing to be an evaluator and contesting in an evaluation contest, you better get set and be in prime mind to do that evaluation within 5 minutes. So that is one tip. The other very important thing is connecting the dots. Now I will elaborate on this. It's a very famous speech by Steve Jobs. Whatever you have done earlier comes to your help. That's how you connect your dots. So as an evaluator, what comes to your mind? The only thing that comes to your mind is what you exactly know about what a good speech can be. What are those 100 things which can be good, or what are those 100 things that can be bad? So you should be aware of everything. So how can you be aware of everything? When we had the old manual in the old education program, there was a CC manual. I used to have every point in every speech criteria put down in a sheet, and I used to go through it. So I know exactly in an opening what could be the 5 things which can go well and what could be the 5 things which can go wrong. So similarly, as an evaluator, you need to be very clear in your content and delivery. What are the 10 or 15 things which come in each column? So like Ganesh very clearly explained, you need to divide a page into 4. On the left side will be your content and delivery, and on the right side will be content and delivery, probably the areas of improvement on that. But you need to have those dots for you to be able to connect. Now, for example, hologram. Now, today we could have spoken about that. He tried to create a hologram by having himself placed on one side, his parents on the other side. But in the virtual space, it is difficult. But what I'm trying to say is, as an evaluator, if you don't have these points in your mind, even if you see it, you cannot connect it, and you cannot explain it to people that this is possibly what you could have done. So connecting the dots means you need to be aware of everything that a speaker can do well and cannot do well. So that is something very important. And I don't know how many of you now, David in the beginning said, I don't believe in looking at the ballot of a judge. I totally disagree with that. If you are contesting, you have to look at that ballot, because a judge is going to mark based on that ballot. And let's be very clear, if you are not a good evaluator, anyway, you are not going to win. If you are a good evaluator and you know the ballot, you play the ballot, you make sure that every box in that ballot is ticked. I want to share my screen. Can I do that?
Yes, you can.
I need to be enabled.
Hi, Mr. Hi, Robin.
Now, can you all see this ballot? If you see the ballot, analytical quality recommendation is 70 marks out of your total evaluation. So you need to be aware of that. You need to tick these boxes. And if you see all these words, clear, focused, positive, specific, helpful, it very clearly shows, as an evaluator, you have to, at the end of it, be an evaluator who can uplift the speaker. So you can err on the side of being a little extra positive, but not extra critical. So that is something that, as an evaluator, you have to keep in mind. You cannot afford to be overcritical, especially in a contest, because if you are overcritical, you will see all these boxes not being ticked, because you will not be helpful, you will not be positive, you cannot be sympathetic if you are too critical. So that is something you need to remember. And Ganesh very well brought out that summary is 15 marks, and if you don't summarize, you clearly lose this 15 marks, because no judge is going to mark you on summary if you've not summarized. So that is a section you could totally miss out. So in exam, sometimes when we give a maths exam, if you don't attempt 15%, you get marked out of the 85 marks that you have. So obviously you'll score less. So as an evaluator, you need to be very clear. And when you are summarizing, don't go try to remind them about the areas of improvement too much. Maybe only one key element of area of improvement. Focus on the 1 or 2 critical strengths of it. Like, for example, Rahul, I would have said, Rahul, you need to build on your storytelling, your voice modulation, and your virtual space utilization, because these are your strengths. And possibly look at characters and the connect between inspiring people a little bit more. That's it. I will not go into too many details about his areas of improvement, because you don't have time for that. So your time needs to be divided very clearly in summary. 30 to 40 seconds is max that you will get for summarizing. And finally, I would like to say, please note that as a speaker, does he give you a message which is actionable? If he doesn't give you, make sure you point that out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, DTM, for this fully charged panelist insights for the evaluation. Now, I would like to invite our third evaluation panelist on the screen. Now, she is someone who has been into Toastmasters for past 6 years. She is a Pathways guide. She has been an past area director, and she has been ranked as one of the 5 best area directors in 2019 and 2020. And she has reached the finalist as the DTEC evaluation champion. And currently she is serving as part of the district PR team. And apart from that, you see all the creative works around you is It's her creations as well. And before I invite her on the stage, I also thank her for giving me the award last month. So please put your hands together for our smiling face, DTM Nisha.
Good morning again, Toastmasters. Now, I feel all the pointers have already been pointed out. So what do I say?
Yes, since would you like to reinforce your views on the previous points or anything?
What I would like to say is, for me, evaluations are really exciting. Maybe because I come from a research background. I love to understand the cause and effect of how a speech takes place. So that makes it exciting for me. And I feel that evaluations are a hybrid between prepared speeches and table topics. You don't know what the speaker is going to speak that day. You don't know what type of speech that is going to be. You don't exactly know what you are going to say. That makes evaluation so exciting. At the same time, it takes a lot of preparation to be an evaluator. How do you prepare yourself? Each and every speech that you get an opportunity to evaluate, take it very seriously. Don't just go by the evaluation form that you get in the pathway system. Ask for the speaker to send the PDF document of that particular speech to you. Go through each and every nuance of it. Write down pointers as to what you need to look into the speaker. This is for the club meetings. So those are the building blocks for you to train yourself as an evaluator. Take your club evaluations very seriously. Watch championships. Go and listen to how the evaluators are contesting. Make your own dummy evaluations, even at the club level. Also, listen to champion speakers. Try to find areas of improvement for them as well. A secret which I can tell you is, sometimes people say I could not find any areas of improvement. You can find. As a human being, when you're listening to a speech for 5 to 7 minutes, there is surely a point where you lose your interest. So what is that point in that speech? What is the reason for you to lose that interest in that speech, even if it was a champion's? That will give you the reason for the area of improvement. Was he or she too fast? Was the language too tough? Were the ideas too complicated? That gives you the reason. So be a very naive listener and you know how to analyze. Since all the major points have already been covered, some of the fine points. Do you need to walk while doing an evaluation? People have come and told me, you did a good evaluation, but you were not moving at all. Actually, according to the judge's ballot, there is no point for movement. You can very well stand and speak. Regarding notes, make sure that you write the speaker's name. You may forget it. It is the biggest lie that you can tell yourself, that you will not forget it. Write the speaker's name, write the speech name, find out the time taken by the speaker. Whatever you're writing, write it in just points. Don't write long sentences which will take up your prep time. And key conversations, key words, key anecdotes, key figures from the speech, quickly note down. You may forget those. Other than that, long sentences are not required in your notes. Regarding timing, you just have 3 minutes. An evaluation speech is a full speech in itself. It needs to have a good opening, a good body, a good conclusion in the speech. So as you plan and speak, don't give the opportunity to ask a question to the audience and get an answer from the audience. You're giving the baton of time to the audience. Take the control with you as to how much time you have. If you have a proper syntax as to how you want to go about any speech that you are analyzing or evaluating, then you will never go wrong on time. Just like the taxi driver who stands at the signal, and even before you know that it's going to turn green, the taxi driver, he starts revving up his engine because he has a mental timing. The same way, it is good to have a mental timing with you as to how many sentences, how many options you have while speaking, how much can be accomplished within that time framework. That is something which will always help you be within the time allotted.
DTM Nisha, since you mentioned about the project speeches, that we can go through the PDF version again and again, what are the objectives of the project. since you have been someone who has been to the district level for the evaluation, and the season for the contest is going on, so how do you say a person or contestant can tackle the contest specific evaluation? Since
The
we don't
contest
have any
speech,
objective for the speech, so how do you think that we can evaluate it?
that is what we do. By the time we finish our 10th, we learn biology, we learn physics, we learn a little bit of English, we learn a little bit of maths, you're ready for the world. Same way, you are taking each and every evaluation, you get the different genre of speeches that you see at club evaluations, you're taking it seriously. So you are adept in each and every subject. So whatever speech that comes on screen, it will be one of those. It will be in a generic form. Either it will be entertaining, either it will be informative, persuasive, or inspiring. Or at the most, it can have a heavy humorous edge. That is it. So there is no speech that can surprise you if you take your club evaluation seriously.
Great. Okay, how about what do you think is an effective recommendation for any speaker?
There are two things that can go a little awry at evaluations. One is analysis and the second is technique. People do not exactly know what to do in an analysis. What is analysis? That is confusing for many people. As was mentioned by the trainer, it is not a rehash of the speech that just happened. It is not your opinion of that, what the content was. It is not another speech by yourself. An analysis is the examination of the elements of speechcraft that was used by that speaker today, whether it was effective, whether it was conducive to the effectivity of what he was trying to achieve in that speech that day. That is exactly what analysis is. And second, technique. How do you get your technique right? When you're affirming the strengths in the speaker, and when you're identifying areas of improvement in the speaker, and you are able to convince that speaker, your analysis automatically becomes right. When you're not overly praising, flattering, when you're not bossy, when you're not dominating, when you're matter of fact, when you're professional, and when you are sincere, your technique automatically becomes right.
Amazing. Thank you so much, DTM Nisha. I hope it was helpful for our mystery speaker and for everyone present in the room. Thank you so much, DTM Nisha. Now, I would request all the audience to please unmute yourself and give a big round of applause to our first panelist, DTM Ganesh. Thank you so much, DTM Ganesh. And for our second panelist, DTM Robin. Thank you so much, DTM Robin. And our third panelist of the morning, DTM Nisha. Thank you so much.
Thank you, DTM Nisha.
Thank you so much. That was an interesting insight from all these different people with different aspects of the evaluation. Now, I would request anyone that if you have more questions, because I can see that my chat box is flooded with questions, and we are going to take now the last half of the meeting. Yes, we have entered the last phase of our meeting. And in this part, we are going to address all the questions that has been given by our audience. It will be addressed to all these 4 panelists. We will include DTM David as well. So may I request DTM David, this first question goes to you. Now, someone in the group, they asked that, how would you reiterate the point about you versus them? Like, how do you make the crowd feel included in your evaluation rather than the evaluator only speaking to the speaker?
Yeah, so I think, and this is something that comes up from time to time. I noticed some of our evaluators, our panel evaluators, used a very you-focused, and to me that disconnects me slightly from the conversation. So I would say, if I'm evaluating Rahul today, so my opening line would be something like, in fact, I had a quick stab at my evaluation. Rahul calls us to live an inspiring life by watching ourselves. And if I speak about Rahul for my entire evaluation, rather than saying, you did this, you did that, if I say, Rahul demonstrated this skill, Rahul incorporated this type of storytelling into his speech, then everyone can engage with those ideas. Now, I think it's somewhat important to mention that there is a time for everything, and there's a time in some evaluations where you might take a moment to put the audience aside and say, you know what, if you just change this one thing, if you just did this, you would be instantly a 50% better next week. You know, you can take that opportunity, but in the main, for the most part, your evaluation as a speech, address the audience, and the speech content is in reference to your speaker, talking about your speaker rather than to your speaker. I hope that makes sense.
It does. Thank you so much, DTM David. Now, my second question would be to DTM Robin. What are the best ways to open and close an evaluation? I mean, with regards to the way we address the speakers and judges, I mean, we have minimum 3 minutes to evaluate. So do you think it is necessary to use the good morning, thank you, over to you? I mean, what is essential and what is not?
Quite frankly, I never said good morning in my evaluation contest. Never I did, because I knew that the judges are not going to mark me negative for not wishing them, because they are not there to listen to my wishes. I don't waste any second. The first time I come on stage, it's about what I felt about the speech. You know, I always try and say, you know, what did this speech do to me? And as an individual, you know, I am not an evaluator, nobody. The first line is all about how it made me feel. And if it didn't make me feel anything, that's where the challenge comes. There you need to be a little bit, you know, I mean, matter of fact and say it in a nice way. But if it made you feel something, it's very easy. Then you can just say what comes to your mind, you know, what your heart felt. But that's how I start generally. That's the introduction for me.
Thank you, DTM Robin. That was interesting. Now, the next question will be for DTM Ganesh. How are we going to keep a statement or the opening speech to engage the audience? So you need to place them at the hook since the beginning.
Could you come back to that question with that? I didn't catch
Sure.
the whole question. Could you be louder?
Sure, I'll be. Okay, am I audible?
Audible, but could you be a little louder?
Sure. I'll repeat that. For example, how can we, engage the audience with the starting statement once we open this speech?
I think the best example was presented by Dave. I think even when he was running the presentation, I think the one that he used for Alison, that example was probably the best I've heard in a long, long time. And just now, he demonstrated again for Rahul how he would have opened. In my opening, I said, today Rahul encouraged us to, today we watched Rahul tell us something, yeah. The idea was to create some hooks with the title of the speech, create the hook about the message, which was someone is watching. And these are slightly subconscious things that happen for every individual, right? You're not consciously focusing on the words that I've used, but you kind of relate to the fact that, yes, today we watched Rahul tell us about someone is watching, and that someone is ourselves. So be true to your conscience and be yourself. So I think that introductory line, if you're able to relate the title and the purpose, as Dave mentioned, is very powerful, and you must do it. It takes only 15 seconds, but you must do it, because then it allows you to transition into what you felt supported that particular message and the title. So you could give out the strengths first, and then you can logically transition into what areas the speaker needs to focus on. And in terms of engaging the audience, to be honest, you'll find different views from different people. And it boils down to what you're most comfortable in doing. Your judges are also individuals, and they will have their own preferences as well. So there is no one magic formula that's going to tell you that if you were to follow this particular template in an evaluation contest, you're going to win. I think we should be careful about not trying to get there or attempt to put a structure which we say is the formula. Okay, so be very careful about that, is what I would say. These are all good ingredients. These are effective ingredients. From our experience, we know that people who have incorporated these ingredients are able to win. And the judges' ballot, as Robin pointed out, is Also, something that tells you what is it the judges are looking for. So you've got to address those things. Now, how you stylize it, how you present it is up to individuals. So when you're addressing, as Dave pointed out, when you're addressing aspects of the speech, then the audience is involved, no doubt about it. Even when you're addressing the person, the speaker in the first person, like I tend to do quite a lot, I feel a personal connect, because when I'm making recommendations, these recommendations are for the individual, for the speech that he or she delivered. And the audience, the way you engage the audience with that is that the audience must relate to that feedback. The audience has been in the shoes of the speaker, I'm sure, because we're all Toastmasters, we all deliver speeches. And if I'm talking about structure, if I'm talking about use of dramatics, if I'm talking about a pregnant pause, what I'm expecting the audience to do is to live through that. So, okay, when did I not use a pregnant pause? Can I use it the next time I do a speech? Can I pause, let people soak and reflect on what I've said? So that is where I think the audience can get involved. But primarily in a contest, your audience is your 9 judges and that one speaker. If you want to compete and win. But if you want to be a great evaluator, do exactly what David said. Because the first thing is to become a good evaluator. That will translate into a winning evaluator at the contest. So this needs to be holistic development as an evaluator. I completely agree with that philosophy.
Thank you, DTM Ganesh. In short, we need to be mindful of the ingredients that we are putting together for the recipe of a good evaluation.
Well summarized.
Okay, my next question will be for DTM Nisha. How can you differentiate between areas to be improved and to challenge yourself? How can you differentiate between these two?
I can give an example there. For example, voice modulations. If the person did not use it at all, and it was necessary, there was a conversation, but it was just it felt like it was being read out. So that is an area of improvement. So you have to suggest that to that person that you can try different voices. You can try playing out other people's voices and you can enact it, or you can live it in front of the audience so that they imbibe it better. So how do you challenge it? The person is already trying it. The person, so he or she is sort of good at it. Now how to make it better? That is a challenge. Or a person is very good at giving messages. The person gave a message that was too high funda for the audience, but the way the person gave that message was highly effective. So an area of challenge for that person, you know how to give messages, know how to get your messages simple and effective and get it across to the audience and make you go beyond the premises of a speech or a club or a Toastmasters and make you a good communicator with the audience. That is an area of challenge for the person who has the talent to give messages, but the messages have to go beyond the premises of just a contest or a speech. So that is how you elevate the expectation that you have from the speaker, how to challenge that person.
Interesting. Now, my next question will be for DTM David. What do you think is better to be like in high energy? For example, I'm an evaluator on the stage. Do I have to be in high energy, entertaining, or should I be more analytical? Something like professor-like? I mean, what should be the consideration? I mean, what should we take into consideration?
The short answer is yes. The bottom line is, look, it's an evaluation. You are expected, you need to be analytical. You need to have clear and concise content. But if I take, any 2 speakers and one person delivers the same analysis with sort of a very straight-laced matter of fact, I'll just take you through step by step what I saw and what you can do about it. And the next person comes up and goes, you know what, I've got an idea for you. Let's talk about how you can be a better speaker. Which one do you want to hear from? Honestly. And there's actually, Robin did bring up the judging format. There's little on the judging format that specifically requires an evaluator to be an excellent speaker themselves. but there is some comment on manner and delivery. And I can't remember the exact phrasing, but it talks about, so your recommendation should be reassuring and encouraging. Now, given with positive energy, you might say. So I think there's a lot of base expectation that an excellent evaluator will have that positive energy and that will reflect in their manner as a speaker. You don't have to be an all singing, all dancing, international speech contest winning style speaker to be an excellent evaluator. But if you can bring a little bit of energy and enthusiasm to any presentation, short of maybe what do you say, a eulogy at a funeral, and even then, an energetic eulogy will usually land with good effect if it's done just right. So yes, there's plenty of room on the judging sheet and in the minds and hearts of an audience for an energetic, positive evaluator.
So energy is important, in short. So, okay, this
eat
is
your donuts and eat your ice cream sundaes, I think is the bottom line.
Well, definitely, we were totally energized with the delicious and interesting, mouth-watering pictures. Now, there is another interesting question. For example, there are two different speakers from different age groups. The way we address them, should it be different? Like, for example, an old speaker from a young speaker? Should it be different or the same level of energy? Same style?
Who's the question?
I'm not quite.
Okay, the question is something like, for example, one is a senior speaker and we are evaluating him. And then on the other hand, there is a young person who we are evaluating. Should our styles be different for both these people or should it be the same?
Can I try answering that?
Like, do we need to be more respectful to the old speaker?
What if he's giving a disrespectful speech? I've seriously seen a 70-plus-year-old past international director give a 7-minute rant full with toilet humor, which was hilarious. But I was not going to be respectful in my evaluation.
Yeah.
Would you like to add anything?
It doesn't matter how old the speaker is. It doesn't matter what their title is. It matters. What was their purpose as a speaker and how effective were they at achieving that purpose? Whether they're a 17-year-old who somehow mastered the art of speaking or a 70-year-old who needs to brush up on a few skills, respect is not the issue. Your analysis and your ability to provide ideas on how the speaker can develop is what's central to your evaluation.
Thank you.
If I may add to that,
Go ahead.
When you actually, whether it's evaluation or whether you are talking to another person, respect is key. Even if when you're speaking to a child, you have to be respectful. So respect is not the matter here. How you tailor your evaluation to the speaker on stage. So there are subtle differences that will be there in your speech according to how the speaker was, what that is. If it's a young chap, maybe we can pull his leg and be a little more light in your evaluation. If it's a person you respect a lot, I would take care, but at the same time, I will not shy away from giving an area of improvement, but the way I give that area of improvement, I will take care of.
Okay, that's interesting. Now, this next question is for you, DTM Robin. You showed us the ballots, how it is divided. One of the participants asked, is it possible for you to break down Rahul's speech into these ballots? Would that be possible for you? So they can get a rough idea.
Yeah, I'll just share the screen again so that everybody can see it in that case. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So if you look at Rahul's speech, very, very clearly the most important part is the above two rows, which is, clarity in terms of what was his purpose, what was he trying to do, what was his speech all about. And the strengths, the key strengths and areas of improvement, that's the analytical quality and specific recommendations in terms of what could he have done better, which could have, raised the level of his speech. That's the 70 points for you as an evaluator. Because, in terms of how you speak, whether what you're trying to say? Is it extremely clear to all the audience? Can they relate it back to what the speaker just delivered? Because it's in your mind, but when you speak, it's not connecting with what the speaker did and what the judges are looking at, and overall, does it make sense? Like David said, it's not a whitewash, and it is not something you are creating, but it is actually what has happened. Now, for example, I said he was trying to inspire the audience. Now, to inspire an audience, you need to really shake them up, because if people could be inspired just like that, then I think everybody would be doing good things, but they are not. They are really not doing the good things that they are supposed to do. So you want them to do something good, you need to really shake them up. So that's the point I made. So that comes with the above two rows. And then David made a point about technique, which is extremely important, that you make sure that depending on the speech that's been delivered, if it's a very emotional speech, you need to be very careful that you don't say anything which hurts the sentiments of the person, yet, like Nisha said, get the message across. You don't hide from saying it, but you need to say it in a manner that so for example, he's spoken about death in his family, but if he's not able to capture that emotionally and is transitioning without that emotion being carried forward, you need to mention that something drastic happened in your life, but if you can't capture it in your voice, then it's difficult for us to relate to that, because you need to feel that emotion for us to feel it. It can't directly by words, it cannot come. So those kind of things. And then, as I said, summary is extremely important. If you don't do summary, this row you can say bye bye to, because the judge is not going to mark it. He can't. So generally what I used to do is, even if I have 30 seconds left, I'll mention the word summary. Now I would like to summarize. It helps. Believe me, it helps. Because a lot of times you may be summarizing, but you do it in such a way that judge doesn't realize that you've summarized. And some people are hard on hearing, believe me. So just make sure you say these simple words: I'm summarizing, and you summarize. So this is the ballot.
Robin,
yeah.
If I could request you to go to the second page of the ballot, because I think
the full
it's for people to
explanation.
read
Yes.
that.
You need to read this. Absolutely, Ganesh. I think as an evaluator, if you can read it every day in the morning, it'll just take you a minute. You will understand. Every day may sound and seem different, because you'll capture different words and it'll mean differently to you. So you need to read this. I hope the judges read this, but they should read this too.
It's the chief judge's job to make sure they read it.
They read it. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much, Midat, for bringing this up.
Thank you, DTM Robin. One point of clarification for the audience is the judging ballot that the DTM Robin showed is actually to evaluate or to mark the evaluators, not the speaker. So just in case any one of you got confused, so I just wanted to clear that point, that this judging sheet was basically how the judges will evaluate the evaluator, not the speaker.
As an evaluator, if you are not aware of this ballot, then don't compete.
There is one request that I keep getting. It's like, can from the audience, can someone they'd like to share their feedback as well? So would that be
Sure,
possible?
Mitat, can I just finish? Can we just close off with the vote of thanks, and then we can allow?
All right. Okay,
That's okay.
fine. No problem. So with that, we come to an end. Okay, there is just one last question before we wrap up. What are the elements of a good summary? Like, how do we end our summary? Should we address the speakers by the name, or you should, with the first person perspective? How should we do that? A balance of both.
Yeah. So summary is what you have already delivered, right? So you recap the strengths that you have highlighted, you recap the recommendations, and you leave on a high. You always end on a high, you always end
uplifting.
Exactly. So you make sure that the speaker is looking forward to implementing what you have said and is looking forward to do another speech.
He comes back.
There's three elements to it: strengths that you have highlighted, recommendations that you've pointed out, and leave on a high. So that's summary. That's it.
There are three things there. The judges know exactly what you said. The audience understands what they need to take back home, and it is a rehash for the speaker as to what he or she should do. And please don't repeat what you've already said, paraphrase it, make it interesting.
Right.
Try and not say all the areas of improvement, because if you've said three, if you try to repeat all three, it will be too much. Try and highlight one area of important, recommendation, but all the highlights you can do, because that's how it becomes uplifting. So favor
Yeah,
more on the
go with what Nisha said, which is paraphrase it. So you're not repeating what you've done already, you're paraphrasing.
Exactly. And don't be clever. Don't summarize with the points which were not there, because judges would have noted that down. You've tried this also sometimes as a contestant, because you missed it, but you include it in the summary.
Wow, that was a very colorful and indeed a very interesting session. Thank you so much, DTM David, DTM Robin, DTM Ganesh, and DTM Nisha. I hope everyone present in the room, they have taken down all the notes, because we had various flavors which were very important for the evaluation. So in short, we have learned that we need to be mindful, keen observer while we are evaluating. So yes, there are so many elements. It's not just for the speaker, but in short, we are improving ourselves. With that, we are going to come to an end. I thank everyone. I'll just thank once again for our wonderful trainers for bringing in so many things on the plate today and enhancing our knowledge. Thank you so much, DTM David, for your time. DTM Robin, DTM Ganesh, and DTM Nisha, thank you so much. And the two key players who have helped us to make sure the session goes really well, our Zoom master, Toastmaster Elna, thank you so much, and our diligent timer. Thank you, Toastmaster Afzal. Now it's time for me to hand over the stage to another dynamic leader of our area director. So thank you so much, everyone. Over to you, Area 24 Director, Toastmaster Adarsh.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Midat. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you at the starting that it's going to be 2 hours of top quality knowledge, and 2 hours later, I'm sure that everyone agrees with me. We had a fantastic session over here, and I would like to give an official vote of thanks. I know Midat stole the limelight a little bit there for doing that, but let me give an official one to everyone present over here, to our main trainers as well as our role players. So let me just share my screen. I hope it's visible. Yes? Perfect.
Yes.
So when we first started off, when we decided to hold this masterclass, there were a few names which came to my mind, and one of the first ones was definitely DTM David Griffiths, who I've personally been a big fan of, and I love listening to him. As he's very busy with his work schedule, I reached out to him a good 2 months in advance, and I'm very happy that he was able to make it over here today. So many thanks, DTM David, for that wonderful, wonderful top quality session. Someone I've had the pleasure of working with a couple of years back. I'm always mind blown when I listen to him speak, because he knows what he's talking about when he comes on stage. So we know that as a member of the audience. DTM Ganesh Raman, thank you very much for being here today and being one of our panelists. Let's give a loud round of applause for all of them as I go forward. Someone who has led our district last year. I was right at the helm of it. And in the last 2 to 3 weeks, I've honestly learned so much from this person. I'm not sure that he really knows that he has taught me a lot, but just by observing him as a leader, as a role player, the efforts he's put in, the time he has given to every single opportunity. DTM Robin, thank you very much for being here today, for your time. And we truly appreciate you being one of our panelists for the day.
Thank you.
So someone who is always very calm and collected, but when she comes on stage, she's going to give you some top quality knowledge. She knows exactly what she's speaking about, very crisp and very clear with her points. DTM Nisha, thank you very much for being a part of our evaluation masterclass and being our panelist here today. So any event is not possible without off with. Of course, I have one person. It's not easy coming on stage where 100 odd people are looking at you, dissecting your every move. and then being evaluated by 3 top quality evaluators. Our mystery speaker for the day, unfortunately, he had to leave, but Toastmaster Rahul, can we have a loud round of applause for him for that excellent speech? And he was definitely given some wonderful tips. Our master of ceremonies for the day, as I said, someone who's always ready to help. You would see her in multiple occasions. So Toastmaster Midat, thank you very much for conducting this wonderful session. And we're truly happy, and it's our pleasure to have you over here. The person who I envy, because he has a great baritone as well as he's amazing at his design work. Toastmaster Rajesh Menon, the Sergeant at Arms for the day. Always when he puts his effort into something, you know you're going to get something which is extraordinary. So Toastmaster Rajesh, let's give him a round of applause, the Sergeant at Arms for today. There's someone who's always there behind the scenes. I refer to him as my right-hand man, the Assistant Area Director Program Quality. You won't hear him much, but he's very, very critical to how things are run from the area at least. So our timer for the day, Toastmaster Afzal Latif. Let's have a big round of applause for him, who's there behind the scenes and a very, very important person in the entire session. Another person who's generally there behind the scenes but is always very critical, always ready to help for anything. You just message her and she will be there to help you out. The Assistant Division L Director of Program Quality, Toastmaster Elna, our Zoom master for the day. So let's give her a round of applause as well. We had over 100 participants today, and it was truly a fantastic session. There was one person who was helping out with how this was shared across every nook and corner of the world, I would say. So Toastmaster Alexander Thomas, I'm not sure if he's in the meeting right now, but I really appreciate the contributions he has done in marketing and spreading awareness about this event, which has made it a grand success. The last person I would like to thank as well is our Division L Director, who's always there behind the scenes again, but always very much involved, and he knows he gives us the space to go ahead and plan such fantastic sessions. So Toastmaster Stephen, an acknowledgement from me to you as well. Thank you very much. We did have some dignitaries present over here. Our Club Growth Director DTM Rania, PR Manager DTM Deepa, Admin Manager Toastmaster Deepa, our area directors from Division L, Sharon, Hazim, and Rohini, and many such leaders. I might not be able to take your names, but I truly appreciate all of you being over here. And of course, the biggest thanks is for the members. I'm sure everyone had a fantastic time, took down those important tips, took down those the nuggets of knowledge which were coming your way, and we had a fantastic session. So I will officially close the meeting now, as by the power vested in me as the area director. And if time permits, we have a few people who might have a few questions, if that's okay with the panelists, if they can, the people can directly ask them if they have some time. So officially, the meeting comes to an end, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Adarsh. DTM Peter would like to say something. He has been messaging continuously, so I would request.
Sure, yes, DTM Peter, yes.
DTM Peter.
Yeah, well, first of all, I really enjoyed the session. You had a multitude of input, a multitude of speakers and feedback, which was great. Those of you who know me from the Division 105 contest. I have competed against some of you. And I always find the contest an interesting arena for me. I love to compete, and ultimately I love to win. Is there anyone here who does not love to win? Right. So it would be a lie to say that we don't love to win. But the whole idea is the process. The whole idea is not to do a bench press of 350 pounds. The whole idea is to learn how to do a bench press of 350 pounds. So let me just jump in and give my feedback on how to do a bench press of 350 pounds. One thing is that the ballot is important. I think I would have to agree with DTM Robin that if the ballot is the recipe to success, the evaluator is the person who needs to cook up the meal. That means some people use spices, some people use salt, some people use pepper, some people use potatoes. What you put into your recipe will make a world of difference. Ultimately, the tastes of the audience are the ones who are going to sample it, evaluate it, and give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down, just like in a Roman arena. You either live or die. So the thing here for me is to bring it all together so I don't tire you, because time is money. I would say the following. If the test speaker is the movie, the evaluator is the trailer to the movie. And every great trailer needs a narrator. So when you get up on stage and you deliver a speech evaluation, you are the trailer to the movie you just saw. What you add into the trailer makes you the director and the narrator. Think about how you're going to put together the trailer for your audience. So if they stepped into the auditorium at that point and they hadn't seen the movie and they listened to the trailer, they would clearly understand what was going on in the movie that they hadn't seen. With that, I hand it over to you.
Thank you, DTM Peter, for sharing your insight as well.
Thank you very much, DTM Peter.
Toastmaster Adesh, would you like to carry on? Or if anyone would like to ask any
I've
questions?
officially closed, so.
Oh shit, you'll be teleported.
If anyone,
Thank you very much,
anyone would like
everyone.
to add anything?
I started in culture.
I think we can end it over here if nobody has any other things to add. But again, once again, thank you very much, Elna. I think you can close the meeting, and we will definitely share the recording, and we'll put it up on YouTube as well as share it to everyone on the various groups.